What's up guys, I'm Pablo with Tandem Off-Road, and today is a good day. We're going to be working on a 1997 Toyota Land Cruiser 40th anniversary. This is one of a really good customers of mine, and he's been complaining about the brakes on this thing for a while. So we are going to be upgrading it with the EBC brake pads and rotors. Here's our fine specimen for today. She's very well kept and one of my favorite trucks to work on here at the shop. So let me get my tools kind of put together, organized. Let's get this puppy on the rack and get started. Get the wheels off of it and get going. Okay, so we got it on the rack, got the tires off of it. We're gonna go ahead and take the brake calipers off and take the hub assembly apart to get to the actual brake rotor. This is not a free-floating rotor like what you see most on your newer trucks. The 80 series is a live axle front end, and it has the Burfield system, so you have a CV axle that actually, or an axle, I'm gonna get yelled at for that, but you have an axle that goes in here. There's a Burfield which acts like a CV axle because this turns when you turn the steering wheel, and then you have a spline end at the end of the axle, which is what this piece right here is. Basically connects it to the hub assembly, and so now when you transmission sends power to the differential, then the CV axle sends power to the tire or the wheel. So what we need to do is, these are 12 millimeters. We need to take these off, and behind here, I don't know if you can see it, there is a cone that goes here, and these cones keep this from coming out. It's kind of like a locking nut mechanism that Toyota uses. So we're gonna take this cover off. I'm going to take the 12 millimeters off, and then I'm going to show you a little trick on getting these cones off. So let me get to that point and I'll cut back to it. Let me grab, there's two methods of taking these cones out. And there's the side hammer method, which I used to do back in the day, but you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can. See how right here there's really good hammer indentations, and overall it just looks kind of I don't know, it just doesn't look good when people do it that way. I have since then learned to do the stud method, which is hammering it right here, and the shock from hammering it here, I use a brass punch. I do not use a steel punch because it does damage the studs, but I do use a brass punch. As you do it like that and you hammer it, and it will shock those cones loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this right here, and we're gonna go ahead and hammer a couple of these so you kind of see what's going on. After you give it a couple good whacks, you want to just check and make sure, and you want to hit it to get that good bounce back. If you get a good bounce back, it's a pretty solid good hit. If they've been in there for a while, it's going to be a little bit of a battle to break them loose. A little bit of penetrating oil and stuff like that will help, but it's just a tedious job. So after I hit it a couple times, you can see that it came loose. All right, so the brakes are done. Put it on there. Let me bring you a little closer here. Went ahead and installed the 100 series brake pads on the 80 series, and because we're doing this, the brake pad actually uses the whole surface area of the rotor. The 80 series only uses a smaller portion of it, and so you don't really get the full braking power on it. So doing the 100 series pads is a quick, easy brake upgrade for an 80 series. So I still have the other side to do, but then I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to record it. As far as the backs go, I might just time lapse it. I don't really have too much time left in the day because I have a rear view camera that I need to fix on this one, and an alignment as well. But real quick, this is a rotor / drum braking setup. For those that don't know, there's a parking brake inside of here, and so when you pull the parking brake, the brake shoes expand and then lock the rotor, and that's how you get your parking brake. But as far as that, it's a free floating caliper in the back, so it's pretty much just like your average brake job in the back. It's not as intense as the front. Of course, I say that, it's gonna fight me for some reason, but other than that, I'm gonna get back to work. Remember what I said at that part of the video where this is going to come back and bite me? So here we have is the older brake pad. It's pretty worn down. And here we have the newer brake pads, but they are not the same. They're noticeably bigger and they do not fit. So I gotta figure something out. So I'll get back to you all on that. Two things I want to note while Joey's looking for part numbers. Too close to my face. So one cool thing is on these brackets, you got end plugs here, which means you can pull these out and clean the barrels in here. And the barrels were pretty well cleaned. I cleaned up the pins and then lubricated them, so those are ready to go back in. And you might notice that there's a hole right here, and you have to turn the rotor straight at the 6 o'clock position. And now I'm going to see if you guys can see this. But there's an adjuster in there for the parking shoes, and you do have to sometimes loosen them up all the way to get the rotor to come out. But I guess I'll jump towards the reverse camera. See if we can figure out what's going on with that. It just quit working, and we installed a tailgate system, and I'll show you all in a minute. Let me get it down. me go ahead and take care of this reverse camera. So this harness, like I said before, was pretty corroded. We went and looked through his trunk and found it. I'm gonna go ahead and de-pin this, clean up the connections, the pins. Then I'm going to put dielectric grease in it, and then we're gonna weatherproof it. And that should solve that problem from happening again. He does take this up to Colorado, so it does get exposed to a lot of the elements. So we just gotta make sure he's good to go. So let's take care of that. Alignment's nice and straight. She stops real good. I think we got a winner for today. Go, buddy, go. Well, that finishes that one. Let's kind of recap. We went ahead and changed out the front and rear brake pads with EBC drilled and slotted brake rotors and green pads, which are the street variant pads. We repaired the reverse view camera, had corrosion up at the connector, was not insulated, so as soon as you drove through any bad weather or anything like that, the wires got corroded at that connector. The last and final thing, he needed an alignment because he ran over a deer. Which, as you can tell, it took almost no damage. It just bent the tow arm just a little bit, enough to throw off the tow by about 0.2 of a degree. So, other than that, this is one of my favorite 80s to work on. He's got two of them. He's got this one, which is the 97, and then he's got a 94. Which are both absolutely gorgeous. So special thanks to Steve Miller for letting me use his truck in this video. and giving me the opportunity to work on his truck. If you guys want a better detailed video of just the truck in general, let me know in the comments below and I can probably coordinate something like that. If you're interested in us working on your vehicle, we are in the Haltom City, DFW area. We'll leave a link to our Facebook and our website below as well. And thank you for joining us today, and we will see you all on the next project.